When you start out your life in debt, your decisions aren't based on what's the best thing for my career, what do I want to do the most, and you can't take any risks. You feel very insecure in your standing, and the first thing you have to think about is getting whatever job you possibly can so you can pay back your student loans. You start out your working life in debt, so they have you from the very beginning.
And you're certainly not going to start your own business or anything like that. Any of the kinds of things that conservatives would, or that all of us really agree people should do if they want to, and they have a good idea or something like that.
Yeah, anyone who's in debt and who's living from paycheck to paycheck is terrified of taking any risks because you could face absolute, devastation. Absolute.
But you can't just do what Mitt Romney told you and just borrow $10,000 from your folks.
Yeah, just borrow from your parents.
Oh, if you got student loans, that's okay. You can do. We did too. We stayed in our basement and ate tuna. Well, you can do it too. I had to take from my daddy's stock options. I had to sell some stock to get through college. That's okay. You can do it too.
I know. It must have been heartbreaking for them to eat off that ironing board or whatever the hell his wife was trying to do.
Oh, it must have been absolutely terrible for Mitt Romney and his wife. I forget her name.
Yeah, whatever her name is.
That's how out of memory Mitt Romney is. He lost, he's gone, nobody remembers him.
Forgettable.
Easily forgettable.
I think it's personally a form of economic slavery, to be honest with you. And just even to keep out of the student loan debt, which we'll definitely get on another topic, without even talking about people, young adults entering the marketplace already in the hole. For one is, yes, you always had people that, due to the rising cost of gasoline and food prices, due to the high cost of gasoline and agriculture, that people do most of the time that either you have the people that scan the EBT card at their grocery store, or either most of the time it's the credit card at the grocery store due to the rising cost of food and fuel. Then you have the people that use this stuff just to get by because wages have remained stagnant. Then you have always had this aspect of American culture, this keeping up with the Joneses base culture, where you have people that are making between poverty lines roughly about $27,000, if I'm not correct, between $27,000 to $35,000 a year, basically want to live a lifestyle of equivalent to what should be the actual American standard of living, which is roughly about $50,000 to $70,000 a year. And this became very popular in the 90s. I started noticing this a lot, where people started having giant freaking televisions in their homes and had to have brand new cars to compete with their neighbors and so forth. So that did play a big part of it. The marketplace also played a big part of it because the majority of the American people are living on a stagnant minimum wage, especially people in the restaurant service industry. Minimum wage is $2 an hour because they like to include their tips in. Like I was talking to Jeff before the hangout, is if you go look at the cost of consumer electronics before 2009 and after 2009, prices have immediately dropped to keep the economy going. Where manufacturer back in the day, an ideal profit margin was 50% markup. Now in today's, it's well into the multiple hundreds. That in 2007, a television would cost you $1,500, and now you can buy them for $200 to $300.
Well, yeah, it is absolutely and you can see kind of why prices are pretty low for a lot of those consumer electronics. It's because we're doing business with China. China makes most of our consumer electronics. You've got Taiwan, Hong Kong.
Yeah, but
you can't find something. You can't find something, a piece of technology that wasn't made in the Far East.
I'm not saying they were made in the U.S. Before 2009. I'm making the fact that it's simple greed and profit. You had to charge an astronomical price for those televisions, required high credit card debt for an individual to purchase them, as opposed to them being reasonably priced. That plays a huge part in.
also an aspect of the costs of goods like that going down has also been a conscious choice as far as free trade agreements and everything, that if we're not going to increase people's wages, then we'll drive down the cost of consumer goods as much as possible to kind of balance that out. So that's why you see the rise of Walmarts and big box stores and everything.
Hyundai.
As a way, yeah, well, as a way to basically, offset the fact that we're not making any more money, so your dollar can go further, the quality of it lessens, and the net effect of putting all that manufacturing somewhere else in the world is that it's continuing to erode the working environment in the United States. So everything that we've done is kind of like a temporary fix along the way to stave off having to address this larger problem. And basically, I think right now, as far as with the economy stuck where it is, we really do have to address this problem of inequality and kind of lack of wage growth in order to have an economic recovery. Because basically, there's no more spending to be had out of the middle of the system, and that's where it actually has to come from for a real kind of robust and enduring recovery to happen.